Hello, I'm Roman, CEO of Exotec, and today I'm going to talk to you about who we are, what we do, where we are going, and what we see from the market. So, Exotec is answering to two pain points we've seen on the market. It's all about performance and flexibility. What is performance? In fact, Amazon has set a very high level of expectation from the end customer and is putting pressure for quality and for efficiency of the supply chain. You want to deliver faster your end customer, you want to do it for cheap, you want to do it with extremely high quality, which requires a very good supply chain tool. The second pressure on performance, it comes from the labor shortages. And we're hearing the same story, might it be in Japan, might it be in Europe, might it be in the US. Our customers, they cannot find the people to do the job. These jobs in the warehouses are difficult, and it's very important to be able to do more with a given team. So our system answers to this first pain point, giving very good productivity, very good density. Density and productivity are multiplied by 5 usually, but also improving the working conditions so that you limit your turnaround. The second aspect is about flexibility. In fact, we have also heard the same stories. None of our customers knows exactly what they will do in 3 or 4 years. So we come to them and we say, okay, you'll get one of the best systems of the market in terms of performance, but we'll probably be back in 2, 3, 4 years and we'll modify that system because your flow will have increased, your logistic will have changed, your proportion of e-commerce will have changed. So don't worry, you are not taking any industrial risk. These systems are meant to be modified. And answering to these both key pain points, that's our DNA in fact, and that's how the system has been built. I talked about working condition. It's super important, and we are spending a huge time in, I tend to say, humanizing the warehouse, because it's not only about putting robots in the warehouse. It's really about getting the best of your operators and having them to be happy at work. So we've worked a lot on the ergonomics of the station. We worked a lot on the overall carbon footprint. Our systems are extremely efficient in terms of power, and all these human aspects are taken into account in our design. So what do we do exactly? The SkyPod system. The SkyPod system, it's a goods to person, sometimes even a goods to robot, with robots which are able to move on the ground, which are called the SkyPod, and these small robots are able to climb on the racking. So up to 40 feet, they will go up, take a tote, bring the tote down and take it to the operator. So if you are the picker, you have an army of robots at your service which are feeding you with all the totes that you need to fulfill your orders, which takes you to a speed of 400 picks per hour quite easily. Of course, as these robots are able to climb on the shelving, we stack goods up to the ceiling of the warehouse and we fill completely the warehouse. So extremely good storage density, which is usually multiplied by 5 compared to a traditional warehouse. How the system is designed? Well, in fact, it heavily relies on these robots, and this robot is able to go from anywhere to anywhere, from any picking station to any tote in the warehouse, which means that that system is really easy to deploy. We don't wire on site, we have no motors, nothing. If you open a box and you take a robot out, then you already have 80% of your logistic job which is done. So our system can be deployed usually in 6 months, whereas traditionally in traditional automation it's more about 12 or 18 months. And this is extremely important as usual, our customers, the time to market is super important for us and they want to go fast. Something that you can see on this picture, that's also the automated picker. So sometimes robots are taking the totes to the manual operator, but sometimes they're taking the totes to a robot that will pick and drop the article in the tote for the preparation. And in fact, the system is handling a proportion of automated picker and a proportion of manual picker. And the preparation, the order picking, will start on the automated picker and then be closed on the manual picker, so that from outside, this system is meant to deliver order picked. That's really the scope of Exotec, to deliver very fast at a very competitive price preparation system. Our robots are manufactured in the headquarters. We have a very strong manufacturing line which is easily scalable, and I tend to say that we want to work in the factory, we don't want to work on customer site. So it means these robots are fully assembled in the headquarters, then they are fully tested, they will run for a full day, and if they get no error, you put them in a box and you send them anywhere in the world. Any robot in Exotec is compatible with any system we have deployed. We have deployed up to 40 systems, and we can send this robot anywhere. So we have a very consistent install base, and the same software is used on each and every system, which makes it very reliable, very robust, and we have the ability to upgrade all of our sites. So we work with the major brands. You can see the different references that we have on this slide. And you will see big names like Uniqlo. For Uniqlo in Japan, we have delivered systems which are replenishing all the stores of Uniqlo all over Japan. In the US, we work with Gap, for instance. We work with Hyatt, an e-commerce player. We work with Carrefour, a big grocery player all over Europe. We work with Decathlon, sports good. So our usual vertical are e-commerce, grocery commerce, any retail, B2B, can be automotive parts. The system can be used in many, many different logistics. And as I said, the system is the same whatever is your logistics. So it means also if you change your logistics tomorrow, if you are doing B2B and tomorrow you want to do B2C, the system will adapt. It's really relying on the algorithm to adapt to your logistics. So let's take some success story and some example. The first example is Leclerc. Leclerc, we have a warehouse running for them. It's a grocery retailer, but this example is for cosmetic and e-commerce. Their warehouse was completely full. And Leclerc needed to find a way, if they did not want to change warehouse, which would have been a problem and super expensive, they needed to get more of this warehouse. It was completely maxed out. So we sold them a system to multiply by 5 their ability, their throughput, but also it was completely brownfield, meaning that warehouse was already filled. So we had to make some space and build the system in 2 times. First part of the racking, then the system started to operate and we emptied the rest of the warehouse, and then we built the second part. And since that time, the system has been already modified 3 times. They have added station, they have replaced some manual station by automated picking station. And Leclerc plays a lot with that, with the flexibility of the system. That system is changed each year and is growing with Leclerc. So it's an extremely good example of a customer that plays with the flexibility. The second example is Decathlon, which are doing sports good. The first system we've done for Decathlon was running in the Netherlands and is doing a proportion of B2B and B2C, meaning replenishment of their brick and mortar store, but also online e-commerce. And for this kind of player, I would say traditional retail player, they can very well forecast what will go on in the few years in their stores, but it's very difficult for them to know what's going on online business. So it was key for them to be able to build a system that would be able to do a proportion of B2B versus B2C that could change over the year. And the system, some days in the year is doing 100% online, some other days doing 100% store replenishment, and that's the same system, it can do both. And this proportion can change and the system can be adapted in flow. So it went very well. Decathlon is extremely happy with their system, so happy that in fact we are working again with them, and that time on a full program for 14 warehouses all over Europe. We also have warehouse in Canada where we deploy the same kind of warehouse, extremely robotized warehouse and extremely efficient. But these warehouses, all of them have a different size in terms of throughput, in terms of number of robots. And for us, it's very easy to build different size of system by just adapting the fleet of robots. The last example is Carrefour, grocery commerce player. In grocery, you have to understand that transportation cost is super expensive. So once you have done 100 kilometers with your goods, in fact, you have burned your margin. So you need to be close to your customer. And what you face then if you try to be close to your customer, that's very different throughput needed of your warehouses. Because if you are next to Atlanta, you will probably deliver up to 5,000 orders per day. If you are next to a smaller city, you will need to deliver just 500 orders per day. So with Carrefour, what we've built is a system that would be sized depending on the city it is next to. We have a big system for them with 250 robots, which able to be delivering 4,000 orders per day. But we also have small system with 26 warehouses, which are placed close to smaller city. And this is exactly the same system, same software running on this big and small installation, just the software adapts to the resources available, meaning the number of robots and the logistic which is pushed to it. So this ability to size the system exactly to what is needed is extremely important and is extremely efficient in grocery because it reduces a lot the transportation cost. That's one of the benefits of the system. So in general, all of these customers have used the modularity of the system. They wanted the performance, but with our ability to deploy fast, to scale the system, to add robot, to add storage, they are really playing and building a very efficient supply chain, but modifying again and again this supply chain over time. And this kind of partnership, this long-lasting partnership that we've built with this player are super good for Exotec because then we are not just delivering a robotic system, we deliver a full supply chain to our customer, and these are very good examples of success stories. So this was in a few words Exotec, what we do and where we are. So I'll be happy to answer any question, or you can come to the booth and see a real system working. Thank you.